This is the Talkin Bout The Hoosiers podcast, presented by thehoosier.com. We are back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Talkin Bout The Hoosiers podcast, presented by The Hoosier. Another breaking news episode going live this time, Kyler. A little late night on a Wednesday, but, Darren DeVries, he clearly does not sleep as the Hoosiers have their newest commitment as North Florida guard Jasai Miles is committed to IU. Kyler, initial thoughts?
We got a late night commitment here. Like you said, Coach Darren DeVries does not sleep. Neither does Jasai Miles because he announced today. Well, I should say Joe Tipton announced on 3 Zone. Joe Tipton first announced that Jasai Miles, North Florida guard wing, has committed to Indiana. Really like the pickup. Really like the pickup. I think it's a very underrated pickup when you look at the grand scheme of things. Obviously, he's not like the top transfer portal guy right now in the rankings or anything. I think he's like maybe, according to On3, was maybe like in the 200s or so. Yeah, according to On3, he was the number 223rd ranked transfer portal prospect. So nothing crazy or anything, but this guy's a ball player. I really like his game. He had I would say his sophomore season, he had sort of a breakout season with North Florida, really progressed from his freshman year to his sophomore year. At North Florida, their style is, run and gun type of play. They're going up and down the floor, shooting the ball a lot, and that's what Miles did. He shot, I think he attempted 7.3 attempts a game. Only shot a little around 33% from three. So three-point shooting is not really his game, but I like his size. I really do on the wing. 6'6", a guy that can be a playmaker at times on the ball, off the ball. I think he's going to come to Indiana and have playmakers around him, and he can play his more natural off-ball wing position and stuff. But I think this is a really good pickup, a really strong pickup as Coach Darren DeVries is kind of, shaking out his roster.
Yeah, you watch him play. The first thing that kind of stuck out to me, he's a terrific cutter. You see him oftentimes, slipping his guy for a backdoor cut for a backside alley-oop, and it's something, we haven't really seen from Indiana's wings in the last, 3-4 years. So it's kind of a different change. You mentioned the three-point shooting. It's, 33.5% on a little over 7 attempts. But if you watch, it's weird because his jumper isn't like the prettiest. It's a little, I don't want to call it hitchy, but it's a little hitchy. But again, he was taking a lot of threes. Clearly, it looked like he was more comfortable shooting off the dribble. But again, his spot-up numbers were really good as well. But it's a guy, you mentioned versatility. He's 6'6", 205. He can play on the ball, can play off the ball, can score on the ball, and has pretty good vision for his size. He's someone who, can do a lot of things and could just be a little bit of an everything guy for IU.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a utility player for Indiana in a lot of ways and stuff. But, when you're in a type of style that North Florida is in, and for him, obviously, was the best player for North Florida last year. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. And with that, the running gun type of style that they have, he's going to shoot the three ball a lot. And I think in Indiana, a lot of pressure is going to be off of him. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, he's going to be where he can play his more natural off ball type of wing spot. He'll have playmakers around him and stuff. But I think the big thing that I really like about him for his style, his size, he's an excellent rebounder, phenomenal rebounder. 6.8 rebounds a game last year. For his size, he's kind of how tall was Mackenzie Mbako? Around 6'7", around 6'8". There. 6'8". So we saw like in Mbako, right? He could be a good rebounder if he tried and everything, but I think this is what we're going to see a little bit more when it comes to crashing the glass or whatever with Jasai Miles, right? He's going to play probably a similar style. I like from his versatility to where he can, play, a 2 guard to, a small ball 4 in a lot of ways as well. So he's a good hand, man. He really is. Yeah. Defensively, I want to see him improve just a little bit more. But, I think Coach DeVries is a very good defensive coach, right? And I think Coach DeVries can probably put him in defensive situations that kind of hide him a little bit. Or, Jasai Miles can buy into the defensive end, right? And improve in that level and stuff. If he can improve on the defensive end, I think he could be a very versatile defender. I think he can guard the wing, guard on the ball, maybe a small ball 4 or something like that. But it's a good pickup. It's not going to be anything that's going to be earth shattering. whatever, when you look at when the roster fully expands out and stuff. But you look at a guy like coming off the bench or something like that, which is I probably am going to imagine he's probably going to be coming off of being one of the first bench guys, depending on how the roster shapes out.
Yeah.
We still got a lot more spots to fill out, but the way I see it, he's going to be a nice gunner off the bench, and he's going to provide a lot of things for Indiana. Overall, really, really like his motor as well.
Yeah, and I can't remember if we touched on this, but his ability to finish at the rim, he's really good. You watch him, like, when he gets to the rim, he's really good at, like, his body control. When he gets up in the air, he finishes through defenders. Also, has shown the ability to finish above the rim. So it's, someone who, we've mentioned he's going to be a utility guy. Don't really know the role. As of now, obviously, he's starting at 6 guys on the roster, including a freshman who probably won't start at this point. But, Darren DeVries still has a lot of work left. He's not done. But I remember seeing, over the last few weeks, people kind of starting to panic a little bit, Kyler, about, Indiana's recruiting class. And I don't hear any of those, complaints now, especially after the last 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, what a week so far for Darren DeVries, and I don't think we're done yet. I think there's going to be another one coming this week at some point, hopefully, right? But, you got Lamar Wilkerson, who was just a major get, probably going to be your biggest get. In the transfer portal this season and stuff, and then you follow up with a really serviceable piece and Jasai Miles. I think the one thing that I also really like about getting Jasai Miles, he's got 2 years of eligibility left. So, DeVries has kind of had to go after guys right now that only have 1 year and stuff, because they're probably going to be not in this as extreme, but in this type of similar situation next year, trying to fill in spots or whatever and stuff, because there's going to be a lot of guys out of eligibility next year that's already on this roster. But you got Jasai Miles, a guy that can have a year being in DeVries' system. He's going to be tasked to contribute quite a bit, I think, especially off the bench. But I think he's a guy that's going to, take this year full of opportunity and stuff. He's going to get into DeVries' system. And I think he can be a guy that, by his senior year in 2 years, I think he can be one of the more important players for this Indiana team. So, I mean, I like there's just a lot of things you can do with him, right? There's just a lot of things. Playing with Tucker DeVries, you can play him with Reed Bailey, you can play him at the 2 spot, you can play him alongside Lamar Wilkerson, Connor Enright, those guys and stuff, and it's going to be nice. I also like the fact that he can go up against a guy like Trent Sisley and practice, get Trent, kind of up to speed on a lot of things too. But like I said, it's not the most flashy, pickup of the offseason, but I think it's going to be a really, really underrated piece for this Indiana team.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the roster, I love the versatility of a bunch of guys offensively that can play both on the ball and off the ball. And it's, something, Indiana's kind of lacked over the past few years. It was like very definitive roles. It was some guys, are great on the ball and not great off. And, vice versa. Otherwise, there was guys who were really good off the ball as spot up guys, but weren't really effective once they had the ball in their hands. And you look at this roster, now Jasai Miles is a guy who's pretty effective both ways. Tucker DeVries, same thing. Lamar Wilkerson, another guy who can play on and off the ball. So the versatility is the one thing that's really standing out to me with this roster. And, there is question marks with Jasai Miles' jump shot, which, normally, I guess if you asked me last year and we land a guy like this, it, would concern me. But the shooting around him, there's a lot more shooting already on the roster than there was any of the last few years. So there is going to be the space to attack the rim, which, Indiana's not going to be playing this too big inside-out offense that clogs the paint anymore. And, that's really exciting. And it was a big reason Scott Dolson targeted Darren DeVries. And just looking at the roster makeup, you're already seeing that kind of approach.
So I guess when we look at the roster, right, we got 6 spots, right? And then there's 12, 13 scholarships.
13.
So.
And then the Goody question mark.
Then the Goody question mark, obviously. So, that's a whole nother. Hopefully, we can talk about that more and more. Hopefully, positive news there. But so you look at this right now. Obviously, they need a couple more front court pieces. I would say probably need to find a starting center. I would say to play alongside Reed Bailey. Maybe not, depending on what he wants to do with that. But definitely need a lead guard, need another, lead guard. You've got Connor Enright right now, probably need another one. Hopefully Indiana can seal the deal with Tatum Conaway, who just came off a visit earlier this week, and he's probably priority number 1 right now for Indiana. Get a couple front court pieces, probably need to get another shooter, I would say, and hopefully Luke Goody's that guy, right? Yeah. And then you probably just need to fill out spots. You probably get another wing as well. So there's still some more work to be done. Still some more work. Definitely got to get some more front court pieces. definitely got to get another couple guards. I'd so get some more shooting as well, because you can never have enough shooting on a team. So I like what Indiana's doing, man. I like what Darren DeVries is doing. He's working. He's not, publicly going out, where I feel like a lot of times with, Mike Woodson, it was public knowledge that he's going after this guy and stuff. I feel like once you see that Indiana has reached out to a guy and stuff, it's serious. It's just the fact that Darren DeVries is working in silence. He's making the right calls. He's out there working. He's recruiting. He's probably only getting 2 hours of sleep right now, or no sleep at all. But he's doing a really good job right now. He's doing the right things. He's spending the right money for the right guys, I think, right now. And I really, really like this pickup with Jasai Miles, and I think it's going to be an awesome pickup, in long term.
Yeah, one of our viewers reading my mind right now, Kyler, John. I was going to ask you this question. Anyways, Kyler, freshman, you think, other than Trent Sicily, it seems like Heron Zerno, he's kind of done it. DeVries hasn't reached out to him. That's, kind of gone. But is there any freshmen from the West Virginia class? Is that something, Indiana fans should be looking out for in this class?
I don't think so. That's just my gut feeling right now.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Obviously, it is spring, and transfer portal causes a lot of ripple effects, right? And a lot of times a player can, a team can go after a transfer portal player, can come in and take over minutes for a freshman that they already got and stuff. There's probably a couple teams with a couple players I can probably think of off the top of my head, but you never know. There could be some decommits at some point, in the next couple weeks or so. But right now, I think Sicily's the guy. I think he's the lone freshman and stuff, which is pretty good. That's a pretty good freshman to have with that. But Great Hawthorne, it doesn't seem like he's coming. He was committed to West Virginia. It doesn't seem like he's coming to Indiana. And then there was a couple more guys that they were going after. It looks like they're going different directions as well. So none of those West Virginia guys that were committed, there was 3 of them. I don't see them coming along with them, but I guess it's just kind of a wait and see type of thing, right? I think DeVries is more worried about getting his, primary guys that he's going to have for part of the rotation, get those guys figured out first, and then maybe try to fill in with a couple of late blooming freshmen, as you could say. But right now, I don't see any more freshmen coming up.
Yeah, and I think Jamie Shaw had kind of similar things to say about that when he was on Jim Coyle's show. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, just saying like the freshman, it probably wasn't going to happen. You're going to see an older team, especially year one. But it's a really, really good start. The pieces are coming together. Obviously you mentioned need a center. You need a true big right now. And there's also potential for, more commitments as soon as maybe even tomorrow. But this week we could see another commitment, realistically.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. I saw a comment that just popped up that need a rim protector. Definitely do need a rim protector. Need to get another center. A couple of people could be like, no, we need to play Reed Bailey at the center spot and stuff. It's going to be totally different. I know a lot of fans got PTSD off of, the big ball system, the big buddy ball system of, the giant bigs, giant front court of Mike Woodson and stuff. But, Reed Bailey's a guy that can definitely stretch the floor out and stuff. So, in small ball situations, you like Reed Bailey as your center. But I think for Indiana to have true front court success, you need to get another big to play alongside him. And just see what happens. But yeah, definitely go out and get a rim protector. It's April 16 and stuff. Still got about, I think, a couple weeks still left of people that can enter the portal. I think there's going to be a much more options to come in stuff. There's already a few centers that they're going after, that Grand Canyon guy as well.
Yeah.
That would be a good pickup guy. A guy that averaged nearly a double-double. I forget what his name is right now. Totally blanking on it. But he would be a guy to go after and stuff. I think Syracuse big guy that he entered the portal.
Yeah.
So that'd be an interesting one. So got to get a guy. Got to get some guys, right? You still got some more scholarship pieces to come in. So I like that Indiana's doing work this week, causing Indiana fans not to panic as much and stuff, because it just shows that Darren DeVries is working and he's getting some good guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, you saw him at the Indiana State Championship. His, he's always on the phone. He's always working the phones. Went in to see Wilkerson late in that recruitment to, kind of seal the deal. He is a grinder. I think it was Greg McDermott. The first thing he said about it was D-Rock is a grinder.
Yep.
So Indiana fans are getting exactly what they were promised. And we mentioned, some more recruitments. So to stay up to date on all of that stuff, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Hoosier. now a part of On3 Sports. For just $1 for the first month, you get access to everything. And it's not just our stuff, too. You're getting stuff from Joe Tipton, Jamie Shaw, all the national guys, football, basketball, all of that stuff for just $1 for the first month. And then it's 50% off for the rest of the year. So make sure you're subscribing to The Hoosier. And if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, make sure you do so already. And we're finally back on Spotify, too. So this is going to be uploaded shortly on Spotify as well at Talking About the Hoosiers. So make sure you're following us and liking us there. As always, thank you for tuning in to Talking About the Hoosiers podcast. We'll be back.